Up here for $4,000. It's a 2006 Coachman. It don't have no slider on it though.
What's what your trailer you got not any good or what?
It's all right, but this lot up here they rented out for $1,800 a year, and I'm debating on whether or not to come up here. But Bill, I'm gonna tell you, it ain't like it was back 25, 30 years ago.
No,
I mean,
stuff is different.
I mean, what I'm saying is, it used to be that you could come up here and enjoy season. It didn't matter if it's winter, fall, summer, spring.
Yeah.
But now with so many people up in this area, my God, come about February, this thing gets to buzzing like a daggum bee, and sometimes it's busier here than it is in the city.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah.
And plus you got all these hillbillies down here, which, I ain't got nothing against hillbillies, but they fly these rebel flags, these Confederate rebel flags around here like it's acceptable. And I guess in the South it might be, but my God, you know what just happened about a week ago up there in Washington, D.C., up there in the Capitol building? And we're just almost at the fringes of being in a civil war.
Yeah, it ain't over with.
I don't think it is neither.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's sad because they were saying on the news the other day that that's the only time that it's been recorded of a Confederate battle flag flying either on federal territory up there. It's the only time that the battle flag, the Confederate flag, and a lot of these people, they don't realize what that flag stands for.
No.
They don't realize that flag stands for injustice. It stands for slavery. It stands.
Black people, they don't like it, and they try to cut it out.
It needs to. They need to cut it out. They need to cut it out, and they need to get rid of some of these statues that glorified that moment in time, because that was not a time that deserves to be glorified even in the 21st century.
It's a history. It's what it is.
It is history, but you don't glorify it.
Well, no, you don't glorify it, but it's something happened in the country, and the other generation needs to know. That's what happened.
Well, that may be so, but what I'm saying is this, and in which I got Hollywood to blame. Hollywood is the world's worst, just like Jesse James. They'll make a movie of Jesse James or some other known outlaw character in Hollywood and dress them up and glorify them and make it look like, man, this is the thing to be, is an outlaw. Get out here and shoot and kill up a bunch of people. We have the media, Hollywood, to blame for that.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with that daggum Confederate flag. Now, if I ever fly the flag, in which I have been known to fly in it, I ain't going to sit here and lie to you. I have flown the flag. But whenever I fly the flag, I fly it in regard of anti-battle, anti-slavery, whatever that flag stood for, I fly it in the unisons of being anti against all of it.
Yeah.
But now other people that see me flying that flag, unless they know me personally, they're not going to know that. And it's going to be offensive. And you can drive around here, Bill, and my God, just about every other person around here's got one of them hanging off the trailer.
Yeah. Well.
So the point that I'm trying to make is this. This is not the same campground that it was 35 years ago.
It ain't the same in this country no more. We're in a different world. It's not the same world that we were born in. Me and you got born and raised in. It's different. This country's different. And it's going to change more, too.
If it changes any more, it's going to go down to a civil war.
That's what
where they're stripping off all their clothes and men having sex with men and women having sex with women. And if they do wind up getting pregnant, if you don't want the baby, just abort it. Just kill it.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. They're killing it. And
they wonder how come the wrath of God keeps falling upon to us, pertaining to either not enough rain or too much rain, or it's too hot out west and it causes all the fires and it causes all the hurricanes. In which, don't get me wrong, there's always been rainstorms, there's always been hurricanes, and there's always been erratical weather patterns, regardless whether you live on the East Coast, West Coast, rather than that you live in the South or the North. But for it to be lashing out the way that it's lashing out, my God, the weather has turned out to be almost or probably worse as far as being erratical, more so than the people. And it seems like the more the people get erratical, the more the weather keeps getting erratical. Well, guess who's in control of the weather, Bill?
I always thought God was in control of it.
That's right.
I think he's still in control of everything.
I know he is.
Yeah. But the thing about it, the generations that we got coming up now, they've not been taught not to lie. They ain't been taught to have respect. They don't know what respect is no more.
No, they don't.
Respect is gone. The generation's not taught nothing no more. I don't know if we have a bad disaster if the people knows how to take care of themselves.
They don't. That's the reason why they cry for the Uncle Sam. See, the people live an oxymoron life. It's kind of like the police. Everybody wants to cut the police down until you actually need the police. Whenever you need the police, well, then you talk highly about the police. It's the same way with the government. We want to degrade the government and down the government. The government's failing us here. The government's failing us there. But yet, no, like you said, whenever catastrophe hits, something major, well, how come FEMA wasn't there? Well, how come they didn't have this going? How come they didn't have that going? It's a double standard that the American people live. And to me, it's sickening.
Yeah, it is.
You know, it talks about there in the first 3 chapters that he will throw us off into a sick bed to repent, or else I will throw thee off into a sick bed. Uncle Bill, listen to me carefully. I truly believe that God has thrown us off into a sick bed because we was already a sick society way before this coronavirus ever hit, pertaining to heart attacks, strokes, aneurysms, AIDS, cancer. I could go down a list of different things, what did the Bible call it? Not curses, but it called it something else.
Well, the Bible says if the people will turn from their sins and get right, he'll heal the land. But people is not doing it.
No, they're not.
And it says that any country that turns against Israel, the country will be punished.
Yes, it does.
So the people, I don't know what's wrong with them. They're crazy. The politicians has ruined America to start with.
I think it was the preachers that didn't stand firm with the word of God. You know, Christ said that if salt loses its potency, what good is it other than to be trampled down in the foot of man? Yeah. You know, whenever you're going to continue to tell people, well, God's a God of mercy, and God's a God of love, God's a God of mercy, God's a God of love, in which he is, don't get me wrong, he is. Kind of like a Joe Osteen message. But if you don't preach sin and righteousness towards people knowing the difference between sin and righteousness, I mean, you can go to some of these churches, Uncle Bill, in the summertime, and you got girls in there wearing short shorts and halters, and the men wearing short shorts and everything else, and they're just exposing their bodies. Well, they don't realize that by exposing their bodies, they're creating a temptation. Yeah. What does the Bible say about temptation?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
It says, do not put a stumbling block in front of thy brother, right?
Yeah.
What is a stumbling block?
Yeah, it's a temptation.
A stumbling block is something that causes somebody to veer off in the direction that they was originally going in, right? It's a stumbling block.
Well,
I'm not supposed to put something in front of you. I'm not supposed to come over here. If I know you're a thief, kind of like Billy Holloman. Let's say you Billy Holloman. Do you think that I'd come over here if I had $1 million in a suitcase and hand it to you and say, here, Billy Holloman, take this money and hold on to it, and I'll be back in the morning to pick it up? Now, how foolish would that be for me to put that type of a stumbling block in front of Billy Holloman, knowing that he wasn't nothing but a thief?
Billy Holloman, he's dead, ain't
Yeah, he's been dead for years. My God, he sucked your mother out of everything that she was worth.
he? Yeah, he was I didn't have no use.
He was a leech. Plus, he got to working with your brother towards working with them stolen cars some way or another. I don't know if it was out in Chicago or out in Las Vegas, but anyways, he wound up getting in some trouble too himself pertaining with the law.
Yeah.
You know that, don't you?
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
In other words, in other words, he wasn't to be trusted.
I didn't have no use for him.
Somebody like that's not to be trusted. Your mother, God bless her soul, before she got so feeble that she couldn't stand on her own 2 feet and take care of herself, she was faithful in going to church over there. Was it the Macedonian church?
Who, my mama?
Yeah.
No, she didn't go over there.
Did she go on down to that Methodist church?
She was a Methodist. She belonged to the Methodist church, but I don't know.
Over there in behind Billy Sanderson's, there's 2 churches.
Yeah, the last few years, she didn't go to church, you know.
No, she didn't go to church the last few years because she wasn't capable of it.
Yeah. Of course, she went to the Baptist church a lot.
She also went to that Methodist church down there below that other church that Aunt Lily's husband, Big Jim, wound up giving a lot of money towards having that building built. Remember whenever he done that?
Yeah, I forgot the name of that church out there.
Macedonian.
Was it a Macedonian church?
I think so.
It don't sound right.
Well, maybe it's not. Maybe it's some other name. But anyways,
it's a country church.
It's a country church.
Yeah.
But there's another country church on down from that church, probably about a mile, and that's the church that Mama Lucy used to go to quite a bit.
Yeah.
Before she got sick.
Yeah.
I guess that polio that she had whenever she was a child.
Yeah.
Did she ever tell you about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
She got to the point that she was almost bedridden.
Yeah. She always walked with that limp.
Right. Because of that polio.
Yeah.
I didn't realize polio would put hurt on you like that. Did you?
Yeah. Well, you know.
What does it do? Attack the nerve system?
Give you polio shots.
But what does it do? Attack the nerves?
I don't know. You know, they used to get it and using iron. They called them iron lungs. Big old round thing your head stuck out of it. You know, it attacked his lungs and everything. You know, his lungs wouldn't work or something.
Yeah.
But you know, this country's always had some kind of plague. Bubonic plague started out years ago. You know, and then we got some other kind of plague.
It's inflictions. They're inflictions.
This old virus stuff has come along now.
That's another infliction. But just like us being men turning to men and women turning to women, as far as I'm concerned, Uncle Bill, that's an infliction.
Yeah.
AIDS, cancer, these are all inflictions. And it talks about inflictions in the first 3 chapters of Revelations to repent, to be thou faithful unto death, or I will throw thee off into a sick bed.
Yeah.
What is a sick bed? A sick bed is basically whenever everybody's going through troubles. And that's basically where we're at right now. This coronavirus has basically been the cherry on top that's going to break us. Do you realize that they're having a death right now in LA County, where LA is, which LA is a big city, and the county's a big place, but they're having a death every 6 minutes.
In California?
In California.
Well, that's a disaster state anyhow.
Yes, it is.
Something happens out there all the time. Fires, earthquakes, and whatever.
Did you know that they have locked down in Sacramento, California, and placed a barrier around the Capitol building in California? They've got military all around the perimeter to where can't nobody even get close to it. Something's going on, Uncle Bill, to frighten these people this way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Something's going on. I don't know if it's international terrorists. I don't know if it's homegrown
devil.
terrorists.
It's the devil. These people are dead. A lot of these people are devil possessed now.
Yeah. And of course, what does the book of Revelation say about the devil? It says that in the last days, Satan will rise up in great wrath because he knoweth his time is short. See, whenever you and me, whenever we was growing up, we wouldn't have dreamed about somebody going into a school and killing a bunch of kindergartners, or going into a church, or kicking out a window in Las Vegas and spray killing 60, 70 people, or blowing up buildings the way that Timothy McVeigh did. We never would have thought that anybody would have got that cruel.
No.
But they are, aren't they?
It's
People are cruel.
the old devil. He's working.
Even throughout the 60s, throughout the bell-bottom era, the love, the peace, the sex revolution, you remember all that.
Yeah.
Joanne was in on all that stuff with the beads.
Joanne, is she still out in Missouri?
Yeah, she's still out. I just talked to her a while ago.
How old is she now?
She's 63.
Is she that old? Okay, Donna. What about her?
I think she's a little older.
Yeah, Donna was
She's
the
like
second born one.
She's like 65. No, Donna was the firstborn.
Donna was the third?
First.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Donna was the
That's
firstborn.
right. That's right.
And then Joanne, then Carrie, then Shane, and then Jude.
Yeah.
Well, guess what Jude's gotten involved in?
What?
The very thing that you just got through mentioning a while ago. People worshiping the devil.
Really?
Yes.
I thought Jude got saved here about 7, 8, 10 years ago better.
He did. And I was with him whenever he got baptized in the Missouri River. But he's flipped, and now he's worshiping the devil. I guess it's the Wiccans or something up there in Missouri.
What does he do for a living?
He had been working in a factory. Then he wound up getting him a little whatnot shop towards trying to do body work. And I felt sorry for him. Whenever I was in Oklahoma working for those guys. And I called Jude, I said, because he was looking for a job. He done already talked to me. I said, if you'll come down here, I said, we'll give you a try down here. My God, whenever he come down, he made a mess out of everything. And within a couple of days, my boss was looking at me saying, we can't keep this guy. He's not a keeper. So I had to go and help him get reimbursed for a whole month's rent, staying in an in-town suite that I was staying in at the time. And I wound up shipping him up to Kansas City, Missouri, 2 brothers that I used to work for up there that done a lot of rebuilder work and done a lot of work for car dealers. And he hung up there with that job for about a year and a half, 2 years. But since then, he disappeared, and we didn't know hide or hair of him until Johnny died last year. See, we was thinking that it could have been a retaliation of the mob that went after one of Charles's kids and wound up assassinating one of his kids trying to get back at Charlie. We really thought that. Me and Julie really thought that. Because we hadn't heard from him in like 5 or 6 years. We thought he was dead. Well, whenever Johnny died, Joanne's boy, within about 2 weeks, all of a sudden, here comes Jude.
He made a trip to California?
No, he made a trip to Joanne's house out there in Missouri.
Oh, okay.
Come to find out, he ain't never left Missouri. But he was still in contact with Chang. And Chang must have contacted him and told him about Joanne's boy dying, and that's the reason why he come and visited with Joanne. But once more, he didn't leave no kind of paper trail. He didn't give us no kind of telephone number. And he told Joanne then, he said, I have gotten involved with a lot of people that's got a lot of power and a lot of money. She said, well, who are you involved in? He said, I'm involved with the devil. The devil's people. And what you're telling me about the devil and people being possessed, there ain't no doubt. You got people out there that are crueler than cruel, and if they can look for an opportunity to rape a little girl or to rob somebody or to steal your identity or to blow up something or to hurt somebody, that's exactly what they're going to do. We're living in a state right now unlike any other state that I guess America's ever lived in, even going back to the Civil War era. At least people went to church. They believed in God. Or they tried to act like that they did. Didn't they, Uncle Bill, the way you understand about the Civil War?
Yeah. Well, Joanne, does she work?
She works, but she lost her job about a month ago, and she had to.
What was she doing?
She got into it with a employee on the floor, and they wound up.
What kind of work was she doing?
She was doing factory work, working at a place that made books.
Oh, okay.
Handling paper.
Well, Shane, is he still doing the dent work on hail damage and stuff?
As far as I know, but he comes in and out. He's as mysterious as an old tomcat. You don't never know where Shane
Jackson down there now still.
I don't know if he's living in Jackson. I don't know if he's living in Dyersburg. Carrie Lee tells me occasionally he'll come up there to visit Carrie Lee and stay one night, and then he's gone again on the road.
Well, he goes where the hail damage is. What I heard. The dentist's wife worked at the bank down there. Of course, she's dead now. Said he had a good business in Jackson and had a good bank account.
Really?
Yeah. Said he had a real good business. And is he married or what?
No.
He never has married?
No, but I think what he did do, he wound up. You remember whenever he had that bad accident on that motorcycle?
No, I don't remember that. Didn't know he had an accident on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. Whenever Charlie was dealing with all that illegal stuff, somehow or another they was living down there by Crump.
Where?
Crump, Tennessee, down there by Pickwick.
Yeah.
And they got involved with Buford Pusser.
They lived down there around Trump.
Yeah, they got involved with Buford Pusser some way or another. And Charles was going to go in business with Buford towards retail. Going to sell clothes. Well, Shane was on this little, I guess it's a scooter. He wasn't old enough for it to be a motorcycle. It was like a scooter. And he pulled out in front of this car, and his car hit him, and it just mangled his leg. Well, ever since he had that accident, he's having to wear a shoe on that leg that's about
his leg been shorter,
3.5, 4 inches shorter than the other leg.
Yeah.
Well, within the past couple years, he's gone to the doctor, and they have cut into that bone
and
extended it to where now he don't have to no longer. He can wear a regular pair of shoes just like me and you.
Uh-huh.
It's amazing what these doctors can do now.
Yeah.
I mean, you can break a hip and be out of the hospital in a week, and in a month be walking around.
Yeah. I didn't know where Shane was living.
I don't know that he's living. He may be living in Jackson somewhere.
Well, that's the last report, because that's been 5-6 years ago. I don't.
He may be, and there's no doubt.
He's still in Kenton, ain't he?
He's still in Kenton, and he's still got bad nerve disease, and I think he's had a couple mild strokes.
Really?
His health.
How old is Carrie?
He's about my age.
How old are you?
I'm 59. I think Carrie's 1 year older than me. He's probably 60. But Joanne's 63, and Donna's probably 65, maybe 66. Now, Donna lives up in...
She was in Illinois.
Wisconsin or Illinois, somewhere north.
No, you're right. It's Wisconsin's where I think.
And she's got some sort of a ministry up there.
Do what?
She's got a ministry up there.
Well,
she works towards being a counselor or a preacher or or something.
The guy she's married, is he still living, or is she still married, or?
I don't know about all
I
that.
don't know.
She's very secretive too. The whole family's secretive.
How many kids did Donna have? Did she ever have kids?
Yeah. Yeah, she had 2 kids, I think.
I don't remember it.
But-
I hadn't seen Donna.
But the whole family is secretive. Not
I hadn't
only
seen her in
not
40
only on
years.
not only on Charles's side, but on Uncle Bill's side too.
Our family has never been a close family. It's been scattered. Our
Why?
family, when I was working at Trenton Motor Company, Charles and Bobby, all of them, they scattered. They went California, everywhere.
But they come back together again because Dad worked with Charlie at Alamo for about a year and a half.
They all worked Bodycraft up there together.
Yeah, they worked at
Charles, and
Bodycraft
me.
together
We all
in
worked
Chicago.
there, and they all left, and I was the last one to leave from there.
Everybody wants to live secretively.
Charles, he never kept a job very long at any place. He moved a lot.
He did.
Yeah, Charles moved a lot.
He had a gypsy in him, man.
And of course, Bobby, he took off too, and then I don't know where they all went. We just didn't have no connection.
They abandoned you? Did you feel like that you'd been abandoned?
No, not really.
Like you was a foster child or something?
I started working at Trenton Motor Company to learn the body work. Bobby quit. Charles worked. They all left, and they left me, and I learned it myself. I finally wound up learning it all by myself
At Trenton?
at Trenton. Then I went up north then, and then Bobby was out in some little place out towards Wisconsin.
And you stayed up in Chicago, what, 5 or 6 years, and then you come back to the South?
Yeah, I stayed up there about 5 years.
About 5 years, and then you opened up a business of your own in Dyer and kept that business for what, 35, 40 years?
25 years.
25 years. So y'all moved up here to Lake when? In the year 2000?
We moved up here in '99.
Before 9/11 hit.
Yeah, I bought a place up here in '84. Had a trailer sitting here, a little bitty trailer, and then I bought this trailer here in '97. Moved it in here, and we moved up here in '99. I retired in '99. I wished I had. Betty wanted me to retire. I wished I would work till I was 70. I retired at 65. I wanted to work till I was 70 years old. She wanted me to retire, and so I did.
Was it because of the money? You'd have been drawing a lot bigger check, or was it because of your health?
No, there wasn't no health problem or nothing.
I know.
I did work down there in that shop there for 5 or 6 years down here.
Did you?
Yeah, and it just messes up the place. Old paint and primer and dust and stuff, it messes up a building. I just quit.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but you'd be tracking it in here in your living room, on your rugs and your floor and everything else. It's messy. Anytime you got a business outside your home, it not only messes the building up that you're doing the business out of, but it ordinarily you'll be tracking some of that inside your house.
Yeah. So I just quit doing that. I do a little bit of air conditioning work on cars, and a little bit of brake work. And that's about all I do now. I don't do any body work at all no more. It got so expensive. When you buy anything, you got to buy a gallon of that clear coat, and it's over $100. And you got to buy a 222, and it's over $100. You buy the activator for it, and it's $50 or $60. Now it's $400 and $500 for the gallon of stuff with that mess.
Yeah.
It's just got out of reach, and
Yeah, and unless you're doing it every day, that you can spread it out on 4 or 5 jobs, or at least 2 or 3 jobs, the next thing you know, it'll sit on the shelf and it'll go bad.
Right, it dries up on you, and I couldn't afford to buy it. Paint, last quarter paint I bought, Jason, that truck is $27, $127 for a quart of paint.
Oh, they got it now, $127 for a pint,
That was
depending
a
upon
quart.
what kind of paint it is, whether or not it's pearl or
It was metallic.
was it?
Yeah, metallic.
Well, what's going on with pertaining to all this military stuff? I mean, you know, Christmas Day we had an idiot in downtown Nashville that woke everybody up, put everybody on pins and needles pertaining to him blowing up a bomb, and about 12 or 13 days later, they attacked the Capitol building, and now they're bringing in military to the point it looks like military camps. And I told you about the Capitol building in California. That's not the only one that they've shut down. They've got about 20 different Capitol buildings that they're militarizing because they've gotten threats, afraid somebody's going to go in there and blow something up.
All these
Still got crazy.
All these Democrat blue states are having trouble.
They are.
Yes. It's something that can take place here in about before inauguration date or right at it. Something's going to take place.
Well, that's next week.
I know.
Wednesday is inauguration day.
I know it. I don't think it's going to come off. I ain't for sure about this.
So you're thinking that it could wind up being a big hullabaloo right up there amongst the
Trump
senators
is
and the
trying
Congress.
to break up what's going on here, and these people, the Democrats, and these people that's causing all this trouble, they don't like it. They're trying to get rid of Trump, and he's done broke up that MS-33 thing, and this traffic, these kid trafficking, sexual trafficking thing. He's been breaking that up, and they don't like that. And most of these old movie stars are in on that.
Well, think about this for a second. He had a brilliant idea in regards to the illegal immigrants coming over here, going over the Rio Grande, in regards to all these cities that would take care of them if they wound up in their city. It was called sanctuary cities. The sanctuary cities should be outlawed, and you should not cater to an illegal. I don't care if he's an illegal Mexican or illegal Canadian or an illegal Russian or an illegal Cuban. You shouldn't cater to them, because if they don't have proper paperwork, they should be imported across back to wherever they come from. Okay? Now, listen to me, I'm for exchange students. As long as you come over here and you get your proper qualifications and you can stay 6 months and do it legally, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. But whenever Trump started building that wall down there, you know he's got about 400 miles of wall built.
Yeah.
That in and of itself has upset the apple cart pertaining to all the illegal drugs that was coming over here.
Yeah.
Well, guess what, Uncle Bill? That's one of the things that has messed America up. We have been sabotaged by all these drugs. It's messed people's minds up.
Yeah. The Democrats, see, they didn't want that.
Well, it was money being made under the table. It's called black money or dark money. You know, whenever a farmer, it don't matter if it's a farmer growing potatoes in Florida or if it's a farmer that's got multi grapes out in California, whenever he can hire a Mexican for $8 an hour and keep it under the table,
Yeah.
to that farmer, that's a whole lot better than having to pay somebody $13 or $15 an hour.
Yeah. But these Democrats say they get back in office because old Biden, he's done said he's going to put the abortion law back in effect. And they'll probably tear that wall down. And he'll destroy the military too. Old Clinton got in there, he destroyed the military. Reagan built it up, Clinton destroyed it. Trump has built up the military. Old he'll tear it back down. You just watch it. If he gets in there, I don't believe Biden is ever going to get to be president.
We'll see.
I don't think he's ever going.
We'll see, said the blind man. We'll see.
Trump, see, there was a group of men went to Trump to get him to run for president to break up a lot of this stuff going on.
Right?
And that's what he meant by cleaning out the swamps up there in Washington.
I know.
He all them Democrats up there, and a lot of Republicans too. They're in on a lot of stuff.
Sure they are.
They're in on this trafficking.
Sure they are.
And they're making big money.
Black market.
He got a lot of money out of China and other countries, and he gives something away, and that's treason. And Trump has put treason back in as a death thing, shooting, firing squad, hanging.
They don't do that no more, Uncle Bill.
He's made it a law again.
Who has?
Trump made it a law again. Have the firing squad and hanging again.
He did.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Well, and see, Obama.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Got out that Obama has been arrested for treason.
Let me ask you a question. I don't know nothing about Obama being arrested for treason either. I don't know nothing about that neither.
No, they've kept it quiet.
Oh, they did?
A lot of this stuff they've kept quiet, but it's going to come out.
When's it going to come out?
Well, I don't know, but it's going to surface.
What I'm saying, I'm going to ask you a question. You probably heard the speech the day of January the 6th, whenever Trump had his coat on, had his gloves on, and he was talking to the crowd, and he basically told them that I will be with you in the march to the Capitol. Now, he didn't actually tell people to rush the Capitol. But can you not see where he hyped all these people's dreams and desires up to the point that they done what they done in thinking that they was doing the right thing?
Well, see, Trump staged some of that, but the Antifa people got in there and they knew it, and they caused a lot of trouble.
Yes, they did, because they was going to take people hostage.
Yeah.
They was going to hurt people.
So the military
They was going to hang Pelosi
undercover
and Vice President. They was going to hang them from the gallows.
Yeah. See, they didn't know the military was in there in disguise. They broke into the old Aunt Pelosi's office, and they got her computer.
Got a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, they got her computer.
Got stuff that probably who knows what was on some of them computers, some of them laptops.
See, there's been a lot of crooked stuff. This all started back. Do you remember when Bush got to be president and Gore, all this hanging Chad and stuff? They meant for Gore to be president, and it failed on it. The Democrats been pulling crooked tricks for several years about this election, and Trump is trying to break all this stuff up.
Well, let me ask you this: Obama, he not only become president for 4 years, but he was president for 8 years.
Yeah.
Now, who was it that was voting him in power?
Obama.
Was the numbers being squandered then?
Yeah.
What was they?
They was crooked.
Really?
They got him in there crooked the second time too.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're saying that was a throat election pertaining to getting Obama in?
Yeah, it's throat election.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's got to the point, like you told me the last time I was here, it used to be that you didn't believe half of what you seen and don't believe nothing you hear. Now it's got to the point you don't believe nothing you hear and nothing you see.
That's right.
You can't trust nobody no more. You don't know who's trying to bamboozle you and who's lying to you.
You don't know what's propaganda and what ain't now no more.
That's it. And whenever it reaches that state, Uncle Bill, don't you think we're in a very, very dangerous state right now?
Sure are. We're in a bad state. See, this stuff they put out here on this computer and stuff, a lot of it is junk.
Yeah, it just gets people all riled up. And if the truth be known, it's probably been It's the internet is probably
Well,
guilty.
that's what they want to do, round the people up.
Right.
This Kobe stuff was stage stuff. It's what it's done to get the people off of the election. Get everything.
People has lost their jobs. They've lost their insurance. They've lost their 401ks. What little bit that they had. They've lost their savings accounts, and
That's
they're
what
just at the point
they
of
meant-
being homeless.
They meant to do it that way.
They're just about at the point of being homeless and losing everything that they had.
This virus is a made thing. China made it.
It
No,
come
Biden,
from
he's
from
the
China, but that don't necessarily mean that China made it.
China.
See, look here, they done got the Capitol building shut down in Austin, Texas. You seeing that?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. This is going to do this for this.
It's growing, isn't it?
Population
It's
coming.
growing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's growing.
Yeah. It's getting.
Look at all the protesters right there.
See, Trump can declare martial law, and there won't be no president. He'll be president. It's something going to take place. I don't know what's going to happen, but something's going to take place.
And it's on a big front.
Yeah.
It ain't no little front, is it?
It's all the big cities is getting hit.
Does it bother you?
Huh?
Does it bother you?
No,
It don't?
no, ain't nothing to do about it.
Well, what if the people from the cities come down to the country to survive, and they started going in people's homes?
Then if somebody started attacking my home here and gonna do something, I'd hate to shoot somebody, but I will.
Would you blow them out the door? But would you blow them out of your house through the door, back out on the front porch if you had to?
Yeah, I'll shoot somebody. I'd hate to kill anybody, but somebody gonna burn my house down and do something, I'll kill them.
Have you ever killed anybody?
No, I never had no idea to ever kill nobody.
Have you ever thought that you'd have to kill anybody?
No. I've never had to threaten nobody to kill nobody. I never had no mind on to kill
But you're
nobody.
saying that all this could lead into that
Yes.
if it got that bad out of shape.
Yes. You better have your gun and have you some protection.
Like you said, Uncle Bill, it's got to the point you don't know who to trust. You don't know who to believe.
No, it's got bad, and I don't know what's going to take place.
I think this is a trying time for the Christians. And I think that God has basically unveiled his protection off of the planet, because this rigmarole isn't just going on in America. You can look at China, you can look at India, you can look at Africa. There's problems in almost every country. May not be quite as bad as ours, but there's problems almost in every country that's similar to ours. And as far as I'm concerned, God isn't the one that's actually doing it as far as killing with the coronavirus. But what he has done, he has lifted his protection. And he basically looked at Lucifer and said, all right, do your job. Sick them. You're out to kill, steal, and destroy. Now tear them apart.
Yeah. These states, if you'll notice that these states has passed all the laws with the abortion, marriage of queers, and all this, God's took his hand off of them states, the protection hand.
Yeah.
California's one of them. And New York City, that old governor up there,
I know.
he passed a law that they could have an abortion 6 months before they have the kid. Kill that baby. He passed that law up there. That's murder. It's murder to have an abortion of any kind. It's murder.
It is, especially if you wait that long, because you know good and well by that time you got to have a heartbeat, and if you got a heartbeat, you probably got some sort of a conscience.
As soon as that's made, that is a kid coming, and that's murder.
Who's these people in these pictures right now?
That is Chris and his wife. She is a U.S. attorney.
U.S. attorney.
Yeah.
Where does she work at?
She works out of Jackson. She's over West Tennessee.
She works for nonprofit?
Yeah.
Huh?
She what?
Works for nonprofit?
No, she's a U.S. attorney.
That just means she's a lawyer, right?
She does the criminal stuff for people that's doing for the U.S. Stuff, criminals.
She's a prosecutor. She's a prosecutor.
She does the prosecuting and
She's a
arresting.
prosecutor then.
She don't work at the field. She works in the office.
Right. She's a prosecutor.
She's a prosecutor.
She actually works for the state.
U.S. prosecutor.
In other words, she's paid by Madison County.
She is paid by the U.S. government. She's a U.S. attorney.
What's her name?
Hillary.
Hillary.
Uh-huh.
She looks young. How old is she? 40?
About 40. She's 38, 39.
Really?
Yeah. That's Chris up there by...
Now, Chris is Reba's boy, right?
Right.
And he's involved with the business.
Yeah.
Over in Trenton.
Yeah.
Where's Lori at?
Lori is in Jackson.
Where's a picture of Lori? I know where she is.
Right over there in that picture.
Lord God, I know where she is.
Down there on the bottom shelf, Lori.
Right here?
I can't see for you. Let me see. I can't see too good.
I bet that's Lori.
Yes, that's the family of Lori right there. That's her two kids, and that's the two pictures of the kids over down there, big pictures of them.
You know whenever the last time I seen them in person? Lori? Was whenever Grandma died. Your mother.
Yeah.
That was in what, 2000 or 2001?
Somewhere around 2000, I think.
So it's been 20 years since I've seen her.
Yeah.
Is this picture right here, is it fairly new?
Oh, no, it's old. It's
7, 18 years old?
gosh, no, longer than that. Yeah.
Those kids already grown?
This kid's a grown. This daughter here, she's in Murray. She works for a lawyer. She's in law, does a lawyer work. This boy here.
In Murray, Kentucky?
Yeah, this boy here, he's a diesel mechanic. He works in Jackson School on school buses.
Where do they live at?
This one lives in Jackson. This one lives in Murray.
Is the one that live in Murray, is she married?
No,
And she's an attorney too?
no, she works for an attorney.
She works for an attorney.
Uh-huh.
And Lori's still working in the hospital?
Laura works at the clinic,
What's
Jackson Clinic.
doing x-rays?
She's x-rays and ultrasound.
X-rays
She
and
does more
ultrasound.
ultrasound, she does x-rays.
What's her husband do?
Her husband works at school too. He's well,
Principal?
no, maintenance.
Okay.
Maintenance at school.
So he teaches maintenance school? He teaches kids how to become mechanics?
Huh? No, his kid works at the school too.
Really?
Blake works at the school. He's a diesel mechanic.
I see. It's been so long since I've seen any of them. I wouldn't know. I mean, I've seen Reba whenever I went down there to their business. I guess it was 2 or 3 years ago. I've seen Reba since Grandma's death, but I ain't seen Lori since Grandma's death. Lori probably don't even look nothing like what she used to look like. Everybody changes, just like me and my big fat belly.
Your belly's getting bigger.
Yeah, my belly's getting bigger, but I'm losing some weight.
You are?
Uh-huh.
How much you lost?
I've lost about 5 pounds.
Well, ain't much.
I
You
know.
need to do 50,
Well,
60 pounds.
don't discourage me. I need encouragement, not
Well, I
discouragement.
said you need to lose 50, 60 pounds.
Oh, I know, and I plan on it.
You need to.
Well, that's one way of losing it, but that ain't the
That's a
proper way
hard
of
way to
losing
do
it.
it. You know, Betty, I bet she lost 1,000 pounds the time that we was married. She'd go on a diet and lose 15, 20, 30 pounds, and she done it all the time we was married.
She would.
She'd gain weight and lose weight.
Is her sister still living down there at Sharon and Martin?
No, they in Washington D.C. now. I'm in Washington. She has got Alzheimer's, and she
Her sister does?
yeah, Sue. She lived in Sharon. They Linda, the daughter, come down here and got them and carried them back to Washington, state of Washington.
The one that
In Coeur Lane.
the one that was Undertaker?
Yeah. Gosh, see that Gerald.
They must have just got him about a year ago because he was over there at his house about a year ago.
Yeah, I know. He just recently went up, got him a couple of 3 months ago. Went north. Went to Washington.
I'll be dog.
Linda come down here and got him. See, Linda, she lived in Washington.
Is Linda her sister?
Linda is the daughter.
Oh.
Fred is the son.
See, I ain't never met Linda.
No, you ain't. And Fred and the other daughter, they in Florida.
Okay, well, what does Linda do?
Linda, they don't do anything. She's retired.
Washington, D.C.? They live in Washington,
No,
D.C.?
Washington State.
Washington
Coeur d'Alene.
State.
Live around Coeur d'Alene, Washington.
Where the needle is.
Huh?
Where the big needle is in Washington State, north of Portland, Oregon. West Coast.
Yeah, it's up around.
West Coast.
Yeah, I've been up there.
You have?
Yeah.
When in the world did you go up there?
I went to see them back a few years back. Drove up there.
You drove up there.
Uh-huh.
Was Jason still living?
Yeah. Yeah. Jason, he was just a kid.
Was Betty May still living?
Huh?
Was Betty May still living?
Yeah, we all were still living when we went up there.
That was a heck of a drive, man.
Yeah, well, we was on vacation. I was pulling a camper. I pulled a 26-foot travel trailer to California.
What, you rent it out?
No, it's mine. I bought it.
That must have been before you moved here.
Yeah, that's what I moved.
That's been over 20, 25 years ago.
It's been 30 years ago.
30 years
Yeah.
ago. That's a long, long time.
Yeah. I sold the trailer. I had a little pop-up counter. I was going through Salt Lake City one time. That little old pop-up counter was kind of speeding a little bit. This truck driver said, "Hey," he said, "you better slow down with that picnic basket." Said, "They give you a ticket here." Call my camper a picnic basket.
You must have had CB radio in there.
Yeah, I had CB.
Did you?
Yeah, I still got them CB.
How's your eye healing up? Is the eye healing up okay?
Yeah, my eye.
What did it take?
I can
some of that
see
pressure
people
off?
on TV now. I begin to see stuff, but it's this eye's missing this eye up. I'm dizzy and I'm off balance.
Right.
I have to be real careful and moving around.
Right. Can you still drive?
Oh, I don't drive. I can't drive yet.
How do you get your supplies? How do you get your?
Reba and Laurie brings them to me.
They do.
I call them and tell them that I need something, and they pick it up and come up here and bring it to me.
Call them a day ahead of time.
I just call them. Well, I can call them today, and they'll be up here this afternoon.
They will.
Yeah. They'll be here in an hour.
That's a pretty good haul, though. Reba
It
lives
takes about
over
an hour
there.
and 15
Don't
minutes.
Reba live up there by Humboldt?
No. Reba lives out from Dyer.
She does.
Uh-huh. It's about an hour and 15 minutes from Reba, about an hour and 15, 20 minutes for Laurie.
Laurie probably comes down I-40, don't she?
No. She comes through Milan, Trenton, McKenzie.
Oh, does she?
Through that way.
Well, at least you got daughters that care about you and love you and are willing to take care of you. That way you ain't got to be putting a daggum home.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be putting a home.
No, I ain't going no home. I wouldn't let Jason go. They won't put Jason in a home, won't put Betty in a home. I wouldn't let them.
Really?
I took care of myself.
No, you don't need to be putting a home.
That's just a place to go to die, is all it is.
Basically. Unless you're just one of the few. You know, Miss All
You don't have
Dale.
nobody to see after you have to go. You got no choice.
Miss Aldale got to the point that she didn't know who she was.
Who?
Miss Aldale.
Who's that?
That's my dad's mother,
Oh,
Miss
okay.
Aldale.
She had Alzheimer's.
She had Alzheimer's real bad, dementia. And she got to the point that she was a danger to herself. We didn't ever know what she was going to pick up and try to eat or strike a fire or anything. She didn't know nobody.
Is that where you live out there?
Uh-huh. I live on that same
You
property.
still got, you got land out there?
About an acre and a half, not much.
Oh, you used to have more than that, didn't
We
you?
used to have,
You sell it?
No, Dad had to declare bankruptcy. And the daggum nursing home bamboozled us out of the other 85 acres because Miss Aldell stayed in the nursing home for almost 13 years. Her body was okay, but her mind was gone. Well, after 10 years, we get a telephone call from the nursing home. Hey, the government hadn't been paying $400-something every month on her tab. We're fixing to foreclose on y'all if y'all don't settle up with us. Well, hell, we had to come up with like $38,000 or $40,000 all of a sudden, and we didn't have that kind of loose money, and they wound up having to sell the farm to get the money.
Yeah.
So they bamboozled us out of the daggum 85 acres.
Yeah.
They had lost the big portion of the farm because of bankruptcy of what went on in 82 and 83, and Mom wound up divorcing him, which she should have had. She should have divorced him. She finally got the nerve whenever I started working that she got away from him. She went over at Grandma's and started living. And at that point in time, she only had David to have to babysit with. David was still in school. But she divorced him, and because of everything fell apart and because of gas going to, I guess gasoline at that time went to about 65, 68 cents, maybe 70 cents a gallon.
It was $4 and something. It got over $4 a gallon.
No, not in the 80s. Not in the 80s.
No, not in the 80s, no.
But the interest rate went up to 18, 22%. Some places 24%. I mean, they was really choking the little farmer to the point that all the little farmers went out of business just about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was hard on a businessman back then.
Yeah.
And it's going to be hard on them now pertaining to this coronavirus. If the government don't shape up and do something towards protecting the little man, it's going to get to the point you ain't going to be able to go to a mama papa restaurant. You'll have to go to a franchise like Applebee's or something like that. Have to go to a franchise restaurant.
Well,
they're doing away with the small guy. So where are we evolving? We're evolving. What are we evolving into? You know, once we ever evolve, it's kind of like taking away the little farmer. Do you think that we're ever going to get to the point that we're going to come back and start raising 50, 60, 75 acres again? Well, heck no. There's some of these farmers out here now farm 3, 4, 5,000 acres.
Yeah.
A daggum cotton picker now costs you almost $1 million.
Yeah.
Combine's about $500,000.
Look what a pickup truck costs now. A dually truck, $80,000, $90,000, $100,000.
I know.
For a pickup truck.
They're outpricing themselves. It's got to the point where, like Europe, you only got the richest of the rich and the poorest of the poor. The middle class, towards people being able to go to work like you did and create your own business and become successful, it's almost, that dream is just about over with.
Yeah.
It's just about over with. And who has done this? The politicians.
The politicians that politic this world to death. The United States to death.
Do you know how much money that we owe on our national debt?
I don't even want to know. We ain't going to never get paid anyhow. We're going to change money one of these days. I probably won't live long enough to see it.
We owe $28 trillion.
Yeah. We're going to change it. We're going to wake up one morning and what little money you got, it ain't going to be worth nothing.
Probably.
We're going to world money.
Probably.
Yep.
In other words, they'll use that money to pay off all the indebtedness, and they'll basically start all over again with either digital money or Bitcoin or something. In other words, they'll do away with the paper trail.
Well, all the countries are in trouble. It ain't only this country. All the countries are in trouble.
It's going to cause the planet to go bankrupt. And this coronavirus is like the cherry on top. We have spent more money and lost more lives with the coronavirus than World War I and World War II combined.
Yeah. Well,
and spent more money.
A lot of people's died, and they said they died with this virus, but they didn't do it.
No,
they
it's
didn't give them
real.
the money.
It's real. The coronavirus is real.
Oh, it's real.
And it attacks people.
A lot of people died, though they didn't die.
It attacks people in the lungs to the point that if you ever get it in your lungs and you have to be put on that respirator, odds are you're probably going to die.
Yeah. Well, most of the people it kills is people's got problems to start with.
No, it's attacking young people now. They're saying it's a new
young
strand.
People now have got high blood pressure. A lot of them, and it's testing.
Or obese or whatever. Yeah, they got bad
pressure.
health even at 20 years old. Yeah, I know. But they're born that way because their mother was a crackhead or she was addicted to heroin or something. And of course, whenever you're born, you can't help it what your parents done before you were born.
Yeah.
So the children, once more, you got to get back into that circuit like we was talking about earlier. God said to repent or else he would throw you off into a sick bed. And we are in the bed. We're in the bed of it. We're in the thick of it right now, Uncle Bill. And you see this stuff on TV, all militarizing all these cities and everything. I'm like you. I mean, even if the inauguration, let's say the inauguration goes off without a hitch. Without a hitch. Let's say it goes off. Well, the way that people has been radicalized, do you think that they're just going to die and go away and be like a possum and go dig a hole somewhere? And no, they're going to keep this animosity. They're going to keep these same feelings. And the next thing you know, they'll try it again. There'll be another movement that will either attack a state building or federal building. Now they're going to governors' houses. They're going to mayors' houses. They're going to various politicians' houses. You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's out of kilter.
The news, you can't believe nothing they're telling now.
But look what they done last year. They attacked the town, burned it almost down, Portland.
Yeah.
And then occupied it for how long? Over 100 days.
Yeah.
Ferguson, 2 or 3 other towns, they go crazy and they start tearing up stuff and burning stuff whenever a cop kills somebody because of an accident. And it's ongoing. If one thing ain't happening, something else is happening. If that ain't happening, something else is happening. So like I say, even if they get lucky on the inauguration day and they go through all this without a hitch, it ain't going to disappear. It ain't going to disappear. There'll be somebody else. There'll be some other lunatic, kind of like that guy burned Nashville on Christmas Day. You know what that was about?
No, I don't really know. There's something behind it.
First of all, he was on cancer. He was cancerous, and he didn't have long to live. Done already went through a lot of chemo stuff. He was miserable. But the main reason why that he had this vendetta against AT&T was because his father worked for AT&T, and his father was the one that found G5.
Yeah.
Kind of like Bill Gates, okay? And the government stole it from him. And if the truth be known, the boy that blowed up himself probably should have been living on an island somewhere with the island completely paid for. But he got beat. He got beat out of that because the government, AT&T, made sure that he beat him out of it. So that's the reason why that he'd been planning for that bomb. Been planning for that bomb now almost a year.
You know who owns AT&T, don't you?
Don't have a clue.
George Soros.
You got to be kidding me.
Huh?
You got to be kidding me.
No, sir. He owns DirecTV. He owns AT&T. He owns a bunch of stuff.
I didn't know that.
No, I know you didn't. But they said he's been arrested now for treason. So I don't know. He don't live in this country.
Really?
He's 90-something year old. His boy married Hillary Clinton's daughter.
Chelsea?
Kelsey. See, it's a lot of stuff you don't know is what's going on.
Well, birds of a feather flock together. The rich stay with the rich. The poor stay with the
It's
poor.
got out, it ain't hit the market, and Bill Clinton died.
Bill Clinton has died.
Yeah, but they're keeping it a secret.
I don't believe that now, Uncle Bill. Once more, you're being fed some propaganda that you shouldn't have bought into.
Yeah, it's a lot of propaganda stuff that got out.
Something like that,
It's
they
a lot.
cannot keep information like that from
Oh
the
yeah,
general
they
public.
can.
No, they can't.
Yeah,
No,
they can keep
because
it.
he's a public subservient. He has made his
They
living.
have kept this stuff a secret for us that's going on right now ever since back in the 40s and 50s and 60s.
Pertaining to the coronavirus?
No.
Well, what are you talking about? Keeping what quiet?
Containing the overthrowing the government. Back in the 60s, 50s and 60s, they told that there were 20 families that run this whole country. And I didn't believe it, but I believed it now.
Well, there's no doubt it ain't the same USA as what it used to be.
All this
it's
corruption stuff
crazy.
started back a long time ago. They've got brave with it now. They come out and opening with it. They think now they can get away with it, but it's catching up with them.
Well, that's just like the Supreme Court that legalized homosexuality whenever Obama, the last year that Obama was leaving office on his eighth year of presidency.
Sure.
That's whenever Supreme Court passed a law that they would recognize same-sex marriages.
See,
So in other words, two men can hook up together, and if one man dies, if you can prove that you was married to him or her,
that ain't a marriage. Two men and one, two men married. That's not a marriage.
I'm telling you what the government has done. The government now recognizes two men as it being a regular marriage to the point that if one dies, he can draw the benefits that the other one drawed, providing that he made more money.
Yeah, but I ain't never called that a marriage. That's not a marriage.
It's not holy matrimony marriage. It's not a holy matrimony marriage. A holy matrimony marriage has to be, first of all, a godly marriage, and second of all, it has to be within the restraints of what God intended for a holy matrimony marriage to be, which is between a male and a female. It's not a holy matrimony marriage. It's still a marriage. It's a marriage that your Supreme Court legalized.
It's a marriage they made up.
It's a marriage that they made up.
It's not God's law.
It's not God's marriage. And I truly believe that that's one reason why we're seeing these horrible, horrible things. Do you realize how much money it's costed America last year alone for all the natural catastrophes that hit America?
Yeah.
Almost $1 trillion.
Yeah.
It was $1 billion deal that we kept getting hammered and hammered. All them fires out west. All the people just burnt cities, towns. What's he saying right now?
I don't know.
Things that I've been predicting for a long time. In addition to Parler, all of President Trump's social media accounts across every platform.
See, they've done kicked him off all these platforms.
Have been locked or permanently.
He don't even have a right to speak no more.
They may be used
what's
to
the
incite
news?
violence.
See, George Soros owns most of the TV stations.
George Soros owns most of the TV stations.
They may own them all, for all I know, but he owns most of them.
They've been deleted too.
He owns everything.
Does he own the big tech markets too, as far as Twitter and Google and all that other stuff? Facebook and all that other stuff?
Well,
He got his hand in all that too?
They say Bill Gates is not Bill Gates no more. It's a record with him. Something happened to Bill Gates.
And now Project Veritas has obtained leaked video from a whistleblower inside Twitter.
They're telling that
CEO
about
Jack Dorsey implying the censorship.
Clinton too.
Well, it's not gonna stop
Hillary Clinton. They said she's not the same.
We are focused on one account right now, but this is going to be much bigger.
You can't hardly believe nothing you hear on television no more.
See this guy right here? He's in charge of Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to go on and on.
Twitter
responded to the video saying these are nearly the same words Jack shared in a recent Twitter thread.
Twitter,
offering context.
all this stuff is going to get shut down.
But you know why they got Trump? They got Trump because he was fanning the flames towards getting everybody all riled up that caused them to go down there at that Capitol building and get violent. Trump done that intentionally. That's why they have impeached him Twice.
So get
We ain't
ready
never had a
for
president get
course
impeached
exclusively
twice.
run
Well, that's the
by
Democrats
Democrats.
making this mess up. Them Democrats, they devil possessed.
You think so?
Yes, sir. They done got evil. They're devil possessed.
That's going to be the next future.
progressive
That's going
people.
right there. What you're seeing right there,
Before we get to
that robot
Yeah.
pertaining
guest
to
is the best
Terminator.
since-
That's the next hurdle that we have to go over.
Yeah.
Whenever all these computers,
I tried to get me a robot to do my work. I couldn't get one.
whenever all these computers and robots takes humanity over. In other words, instead of us controlling them, they're going to be controlling us.
Yeah.
Doesn't the Bible talk about the beast? And it says he who did not worship the beast or take the beast's number will be either unaccepted in society towards not being able to buy or sell, or they'll just out and out just kill you because you didn't take the mark 666 and you didn't bow down to the beast.
You think about this. When television come out, television started ruining the world. And now when computer come out, it's finishing it up. Because television used to, you didn't hear about stuff in New York City happening. Now something happens up there and in 60 seconds you hear about it down here.
It's the same way in Paris, France. Something can happen in Paris,
Yeah,
France.
the same thing.
And if it's bad enough, they'll put it on our national
Right.
news.
Yeah.
So somebody is in control of all the buttons, ain't they? All the whistles and the bells, ain't they?
Yep.
Somebody's in control of every aspect of every continent, looking at it. I don't know if they've got 100 TV sets or 1,000 TV sets, but somebody is controlling this towards knowing what happens, when it happens, where it happens at. I've never seen anything like it. Your father, listen to me, your father would roll around in his grave if he knew what was going on. He died in 1956.
Yeah.
Do you realize the difference in the world between
Oh, yeah.
1956 compared to where we are right now?
If a person come back alive,
In 1956, they barely had black and white TV.
40s, it scared him to death to see all this stuff. He'd have a heart attack.
I don't forgot now where I was, Uncle Bill, but I seen a robot putting stock in Walmart. May have been on TV, but it was actually putting the stock up there and pulling it down, grabbing up another box and putting it up there, and it was a robot.
Yeah.
So whenever people talk about the Terminator and they talk about all this high-tech fancy stuff, it's really no longer considered science fiction.
See, when I was a kid coming up,
It's science fact now. In other words, the stuff that we thought was fictionable is coming true.
when I was a kid coming up, I listened to a thing on radio, Buck Rogers. They call it going to the moon, going to places. Well, that was all fantasy stuff, you know. But
Yeah.
it all come true.
Fantasy. Science fiction. And I'll be darned if it didn't come true, didn't it?
Come true.
How old are you now? 87?
87 years old.
87. So
we
you,
used to have an old radio run by battery. We didn't have electricity.
right?
And I listen to old Buck Rogers. He's going to the moon. He's getting on some kind of spaceship or something, going up to the moon.
Where was you at whenever you was listening to those
I was out from Canton.
kind of programs? Out in Kenny?
Yeah.
You just a little boy? That was after you had that bad flu or that disease, and then you got over it that you almost died from?
Yeah. The flu.
The flu?
Yeah. That's what they said I had.
That could have been a type of coronavirus back
I don't know
then.
what it was, but I wished I'd have died. I couldn't even get out of bed. My head busting open, aching all over,
Lord.
throwing up.
Well, they claimed that the Spanish flu that hit the world in 1918, way before you was ever born,
Well,
they claimed that the flu today, the regular flu today, is a stem off from the Spanish flu that
it's
occurred
two,
back
three-
years ago.
it's two or three different kinds.
In other words, they never did eradicate it.
Yeah. There's two or three different kinds of flu.
Strands, they call them strands.
Well, there's more people. You got more people, you got more diseases.
Who's creating this stuff? Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde in a laboratory somewhere?
These cities is crammed full of people.
Yeah.
Buildings stacked up 3, 4, 5, 6 stories high. They're all full of people.
Yeah. Chicago right now is like Baghdad, shooting and a killing every day. Memphis, St. Louis, Nashville.
When I lived in
New
Chicago, the population of that was 5 million people. So I don't know what it is now.
It's double. It's over 11 million people. Of course, that's metro. That's all of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, you walked out, there's people everywhere. There's everywhere.
I know.
Shoulder to shoulder. Those saying back long time ago, Ripley's, believe it or not, said if everybody was still living today, they would be stacked 3 high and couldn't move.
Going all the way back to the existence of mankind.
Going back to the beginning of time.
Right.
Said everybody was still living.
I can believe that.
Do you believe the earth has gained weight or lost weight?
It's had to gain weight
How could it gain weight?
because of all the human content.
Well,
But at the same time, you
all
got to
the
look
stuff-
at. But at the same time, we're burning fuel, fossil fuel. We're burning carbon as far
we're
as
burning up a
coal.
lot of stuff.
We're burning up a lot of stuff.
Right.
So it may actually, I don't know, it may be kind of weighing itself
All the
out.
stuff that's come from the earth that we've got.
That we've
comes out of
wasted,
the earth.
just went up into the atmosphere. So if the truth be known, weight-wise, we're probably about the same. What we've lost in one perspective, we probably gained in another.
There's more people being born.
But you was talking about the weight of the planet. Has the planet gotten heavier or less heavier since the beginning of time? I would say that it's probably about the same because for what we've lost, we've gained. From what we've gained, we've lost because of us burning so much stuff off.
I've often wondered, have we gained weight or have we lost weight?
Look at all the forest. You know, this place used to be covered in forest. And now it's highway after highway.
Yeah,
Chip,
them
chip.
trees, they didn't disappear. They made something.
They made a house.
Well, they went back to the earth, rotted.
Well, most of them got cut down. Got
down,
formed into something.
burned up.
Something. You know, that's a question I'm sure that ain't nobody ever going to be able to figure out. They may guess at it, but I'm sure that there's no way of weighing Mother Earth and telling what it weighs now versus, I think what they have taken notice because of all the computer science stuff is that we are steadily losing, I believe, about 3 minutes every year towards the Earth slowing down. And eventually, I don't know if you've ever figured it out, but that's the whole reason why we have leap year. If we didn't have leap year to make up for the other 3 years because of it being out of balance, we would eventually be celebrating Christmas in July. So by the Earth slowing down every 3 minutes, eventually they're probably going to have to do something different other than having one leap year every 4 years. They'll probably end up having to have 2 leap years every 4 years to make up once more for that lost time that scientists is saying that we're losing every year. The Earth is slowing down.
I'm gonna give you something to think about. Back when I was a kid, a man told me it was in the Bible, said the time would be speeded up in the last days.
Oh, it is down here. It is with us.
When I was a kid growing up, days were long. It seemed like I never could get through school, you know. But now the days are shorter, seems like. But yet it's still the same amount of time.
That's because you've gotten older.
He said the Bible said if the time wasn't speeded up, there wouldn't be no flesh saved. Now, I've never seen it in there. I've never seen nobody say that before.
It says it over in Matthew where that the world will become so wicked that if it weren't for the elect, that there would be absolutely no flesh saved. It does say that in the words of bread, but it ain't got nothing to do with time, and it don't have nothing to do with the planet.
Well, how he
It's
got
just got
that,
to
it
do with
might
people
not have
being
particularly
wicked.
said that in words,
Right.
but it might, you know, in the long word out, it
But-
might,
But I put some thought to it pertaining to Methuselah and all them other people that live 7, 8, 1,200 years old. I think the world was spinning about twice as fast
but
as
the
what
young
it is
people
now.
today, they're saying time is going by fast. Used to, young people didn't say that. But when I was a kid growing up, it seemed like I
Well,
never
you got to
I
hit the
could never
ground.
get
You got to
out of
hit the
school.
ground running. I mean, if you don't wake up in the morning hitting the ground running towards getting in your vehicle and competing, we got to compete in everything that we got now.
It's
You
a
know, you
rush.
got to compete. It don't matter if you're milking cows. You got to compete. And if you don't hit the ground running, you'll be left behind. Do you
like
realize what the driving conditions is in some of these
hurry
cities?
grows on you.
Do you realize what the driving conditions is in some
Why?
of these cities? The driving conditions.
Yeah.
You got to be like a daggum NASCAR driver.
Well, you know, statistics say that 40% of the drivers on the road are under influence of something.
Probably.
40% now.
Probably.
That's almost half.
Probably. But you got to be able to speed up to 80 and then all of a sudden slow down to 0 just within a matter of a second or two to keep from ramming somebody, because the traffic is so erratical that if you don't get radicalized with the traffic, the next thing you know, you'll wind up in a major accident.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awful.
It is.
Talking about time speeding up. Go, 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 go,
Yeah.
go, quick, 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 quick. Like I said, if you don't wake up and hit the ground running, you'll be left behind. I don't care if you're a teenager. I don't care if you're 20 years old. If you don't focus on what you need to focus on, odds are you're probably going to be left behind. And instead of you being successful, you're going to wind up being unsuccessful. And that's probably the reason why so many people's committing suicide, or so many people is diverting their life over to drugs, is because they realize that they can't compete. They can't compete with this crazy world the way that it's going right now. And it's like, why even try to put yourself through anything like that? Let's just sit back, honey. Let's be satisfied with 2 old dogs, a shotgun, and a 4-wheel drive, and let's just live out our lives with our son, our daughter, or whatever, and let's just try to live through our lives. That's what I was telling you a while ago. I looked at that trailer. I looked at the place where the trailer was for $1,800 a year. But I've also looked at the environment with all the drug-induced.
Well, why were you going to pay $1,800 when you live in a place you ain't got to pay it?
Because you're up here next to the water, towards doing a lot of fishing and getting away from that bunch down there.
Well, you're going to be a bunch up here. You're going to get away from a bunch and get in another bunch.
I know. It's kind of like running from your problems. Ordinarily, you
It
can't
ain't
run
gonna
from
work.
your problems. Your problems follow you wherever you go.
You can't get away from nothing no more.
I know.
It follows you.
People load up in Wisconsin thinking that they can move all the way to Florida. Well, if I move to Florida, I'll get away from all my problems.
It
And
don't
the
work.
next thing you know, all their problems follow them right down to Florida.
It don't work.
Well, let me get out of here. I'm glad your eye's healing up.
Yeah.
Looked like you had a decent Christmas.
It's going to take 3 months for it to get. Well, the doctor told me I'll eventually lose this eye over here. About a year and a half.
I hate to hear that.
See, that tumor was right in my eye.
Yeah. I hate to hear that. See, David had glaucoma real bad. David was having to go get shots where they'd relieve pressure and stuff on his eyes.
He's getting shots for pressure?
Something.
I'd use drops.
Taking pills or drops or something. I don't know. They was doing something to him towards,
That little old bottle of drops right there,
yeah.
$199.09. Almost $200, that one little bottle.
Good grief.
All of this right here is about $500 worth.
Just all them eye drops.
Cause eye drop. Keep pressure down in my eyes.
Did your insurance pay for all that?
Pays for some of it.
Lord,
They
Lord.
don't pay for all of it. I'm insurance poor.
Probably.
Yeah. I got deductible for this and deductible for that and deductible for this.
Well, that's the criteria that goes along with living a long life. Eventually, things start tearing up and breaking down, just like an automobile, and you got to maintenance it.
Yeah.
Your dad lived to be how old?
He was in his 50s. Seemed like he was died at about 57-year-old or something like that.
56, 57-year-old. And look how old you are. See, you've done outlived him by 30 years.
Yeah.
Right at 30 years, 25 years.
Well, I've outlived a lot of people.
And he died of natural causes, right?
Yeah, they had cancer, natural.
Well,
see, 5 members of my family's died with cancer.
They have. Who's been the other two?
Well, Charles died with cancer.
He did.
Yeah. Betty died with cancer.
I knew. Yeah, that's right.
My Betty died with cancer. Jason died with cancer.
So it's a characteristic in our gene, isn't it? It's a characteristic in our gene.
Yeah. And of course, I got cancer. Of course, mine's a melanoma cancer. That's a different kind of cancer.
Right.
This cancer's cancer.
Right.
It spreads too.
But you're fortunate that you've lived as long as you have
Yeah.
and stayed as healthy as you have, you know it. Would you have a decent Christmas?
Yeah, yeah.
Because that was just by the time you got operated on, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When everybody popped
Yeah.
in here.
See, that we didn't have no Thanksgiving because they didn't want nobody around me.
Sure.
So we did have Christmas.
Well, I'm still using. You see me walk in here with a mask, not knowing what I was walking into. I'm still using techniques towards getting around large gatherings of people, still wearing masks and making sure that I wash my hands.
Masks don't keep you from getting the stuff. You know what a doctor said about wearing a mask? He says it's like putting up a chain link fence to keep out mosquitoes. It don't do no good. Matter of fact, it's got worse. Everybody started wearing masks, and it's gotten worse.
Actually, I was told that what the mask does, it makes you be conscientious that you have a mask on. And what it does is allows for you not to take your hands, put it in your mouth, dig out your nose,
Right.
or take your fingers and rub your eyes, because a lot of times those
Listen
orifices that I'm talking about is where those germs come in off your fingers because you touched something that somebody else touched that just got through having snot.
You touch that mask over there and you putting it up here to your face. You done handle that mask and had it in your pocket, and then you put this. You done contaminated your mask by handling it. You don't wash your hands every time you handle that mask. You put it off and on, do you?
I wash my hands just about every time that I leave.
Yeah, but you
Leave my
done got out there
automobile and I go
handled
somewhere, and whenever I get back in my automobile, I got that stuff that I put on my hands to kill whatever bacteria that I may have picked up, regardless whether it's your bacteria or somebody else's. I do that all the time now. All the time.
I've always washed my hands a lot, but that mask, it's not going to stop.
I'm telling you what it does. It prevents from you taking your fingers and rubbing your eyes and putting them in your mouth. Believe it or not, you touch your face. You touch your face on average probably 1,000 times a day, and you don't even realize it.
Well, I know I do. I do my eyes a lot.
Do your eyes?
I have to rub my eyes.
Right. Or whatever. Pick your nose or messing around with your mouth. You eating. You're that close to your lips.
Yeah.
Your fingers and everything. I mean.
Anytime you touch something with your hand, you touch that mask, you done contaminated that.
Look, there ain't no easy answer.
It ain't no easy.
It ain't no easy answer. It's nothing foolproof. But at least you're putting forth. You're putting forth an effort.
The mask is not stopped.
You're putting forth an effort.
It's not stopped it.
You're putting forth an effort.
And they run it in the ground, and it's caused people to have respiratory trouble. Some people wearing it all day long, you breathing the same air over and over.
Maybe it may be an oxymoron. It may be making things worse than it is better. I just know this. I want to live. I want to survive. And this is what they told us to do. And this is what I'm doing. Now, if I'm doing it wrong, then somebody else is going to have to answer for it one day.
Well, I don't know. You're going to answer for it.
I'm not in the spirit world. If they've lied to us, Uncle Bill, somebody's going to give an account for this one day.
Yeah, but you're going to pay for it yourself.
Oh, yeah, I know. You'll pay for it yourself for getting sick and dying. Well, I got to get on. Glad to see you up and going.
I'm just living from day to day.
Well, I know you are, but you're doing good. You're doing excellent.
For an old man, I'm doing pretty good.
You're doing daggum good. If Mama Lucy was alive right now, she'd hug your neck. She'd say, boy, I knew you had it in you.
I didn't think I'd live this long. When I was a kid growing up, I said, I probably won't make 40, 50 years old. We talked about the year of 2000. Here it is, 2021.
I know. But look what we've had to endure. Look what we've seen. Look what we've had to...
I wouldn't want to live my life over. I wouldn't want to leave it over again.
No, me neither. No, I'm proud of my life. Don't get me wrong. But as far as somebody saying, well, if you had to start all over again, would you make that choice and start all over again? Even if you took your knowledge out of your brain now and put it in a 12-year-old kid's head. If you took everything that you know and put it in that 12-year-old kid's head, and this is Uncle Bill, 12 years old, starting all over again, would you do it?
No.
Would you do it?
No, I wouldn't do it.
If you knew what you know now, would you do it?
No. I don't want to go through what I know now.
Well, that was part of the fun of it, wasn't it? But you got to go through the bad too. You got to go through grief. You got to go through
stuff.
You got to go through the horror. You got to go through the good. You get the good and the bad with it. You've been blessed, Uncle Bill, because God created us by reaching down into the earth and breathing into our nostrils, and He created us from a dirt clod. All me and you are is basically a dirt clod. We're a walking, talking dirt clod.
We come from the earth.
We come from the earth, so we should be grateful that we got anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
We should be grateful that we got enough sense to know that we're above the earth.
You need to lose your belly. You come to where you can't carry it.
I know.
You may have to put a girdle on. Pull it in, so.
I ain't putting no girdle on, and I ain't gonna wear no bra, Uncle Bill. It's good seeing you.
I was kidding with you.
It's good seeing you. I know you are. It's good seeing you again.
But you need